welcome to everybody. We are going to get started. Everybody mute your mics. Give me like 15 minutes to lay this thing out. We got some polls that we're going to be conducting. And then after that, we're going to get into the conversation. But give me about 15 minutes to lay this thing out and we're going to get started here. So I got a quick little video for y'all. Hold on, let me stop my share. Let me do that again. Make sure I got the audio shared. There we go. There we go. All right, y'all. So that's the topic. Just to get us started, introduce us to it. That was anybody who's been around for longer than 20 years or so, you know, that was a scene from Waiting to Exhale. And that scene, her husband was leaving her for a woman of another ethnicity. And so that was her storyline throughout the movie. So I thought that was a good little clip to get us started in this conversation. But for anybody new, some perfunctory stuff before we really get started. Welcome to all the new group members. A little bit about this group and what it's about. We're about learning and teaching something new, encouragement toward better health, wealth, and relationships. We're not a singles group, we're a friends group. And there's different expectations with the singles versus a friends group. Here, we're trying to make friends. And if you meet somebody, cool. If you don't, it's cool because you made a friend. That's the goal here. Socializing with other positive people. It's a meetup group I created for Black people, but we don't discriminate on others based on race, religion, or sexual orientation. This is actually a conversation where people of different ethnicities are actually really, really welcome here to give their opinions on this, because it's a thing that is happening, and just not, it's happening all over. We're going to kind of explore that here in this conversation here. We're also about making friends, and we do online and in-person meetups. We try to do at least one. My goal is to have us do at least one a week. Sometimes it gets a little hard with scheduling and planning, but you know how it is. But that's the goal here. We do some virtual, some in person. So that's a little bit about our group, but about the different levels of membership here. Basically, everybody who joins a group and you haven't been to a meetup or anything like that, you're classified as force sensitive. I get all of this terminology from the Star Wars universe. If you attended one meetup or you appeared here tonight on camera and I can recognize you when I go through the members, you become a Jedi. Then if you'd like do in person and come to a virtual thing, you become a Jedi Knight. And then, if you just keep coming back routinely and all that stuff, you're a Jedi Master. If you just like, you're a no-show, you become a Sith Apprentice, a Sith Lord. A lot of people are elective Sith Lords. They just like to stir it up and mix it up and kind of get under people's skin. We still love the Sith Lords, but these just are different levels of membership. Don't pay too much mind to it, but it's just something fun that we do for the group. A little bit of context on why we're having these relationship conversations: to meet new people and see where they stand on important relationship issues, to learn more about the opposite sex, and to restore and encourage healthy Black relationships through engaging in conversations to see more two-parent households or nuclear families. That's what the conversations are about. So yeah, that's my goal in the conversation. It's really trying to restore something that's been lost, and I'll show you a little bit how it's been lost. Prior to the 1970s and 60s, we were the most married as a Black community, and everybody really overall was married more. But after 1960, some things began to happen, and then we became the most separated. And this happened across the board, across all communities, but especially so in the Black community, from going from the most to the least. Some different factors that may have played a hand in it right here on the right here. Something I always say: is there a gender war, and was it planned? A little bit about Black marital status. 50% of Black men, or 52%, never married. 48% Black women never married. And these here across all the stats across, as you can see, across all nationalities, 34% is a national, and we're about 50%. So we're lagging behind on the marriage front. So there's a real relationship and marriage crisis in the Black community. So tonight's conversation: interracial relationships. So how all this got started was a few posts on a conversation we did about shortage of men. And these were some of the things here. It started with Peace, and she said she had returned to the US and she dated men from various backgrounds and nationalities. And she believes in casting her net. Chelsea, who's not here tonight, but she said she agreed with her and said Black men should broaden their dating horizons. Said Black love is beautiful when it's executed properly, but go where you love and cherish. And that's really the question for tonight here. And then somebody who left the group, this was actually the lady who cut in on one conversation and just said what I was saying was patriarchal and was cursing me out. She since left the group. But nevertheless, her comment, I actually I know who it is, and I had a screenshot of her, but I figured she probably doesn't want to be shown for this, so I just used this one after she left the group. But she said interracial dating is a breath of fresh air for sisters, and this brother Ray, he has said that he didn't seem to agree with it. So there's different ideologies and different perspectives, and we're going to explore some of that. We're going to hear everybody's opinion on it and kind of see where y'all stand on it. Let's see here. So this is the first poll. This is the first thing I'm trying out. We're going to do a quick poll. I think this is my first time trying out. I don't know how to instruct y'all to do it, but I'm going to try to throw it up here. So the first question, let here see. The question is, what's your position on interracial relationships? Let me launch the poll. Okay, we're going to give y'all some time to do it. I don't know if it's yep, y'all are answering, so y'all know what it is. Okay. The answers are pouring in. I like it. So we're going to keep the polls going because y'all seem to like it. Y'all are flooding. Yeah, we're just going to keep it going maybe a few more seconds, kind of see, okay, look at this. I like it. We got some varied opinions, but the majority are saying go where you're celebrated. And the minorities saying wait for Black love. Or if you're, of another ethnicity, I saw a few folks pour in, they prefer to keep it in the house. But we're about 70-30, which is, it's just kind of split. It's a thing. So we're going to talk about it. That's cool. So 70-30 on this one. Let me write it down. That way, when we talk about this later, we can kind of reference that. So cool. All right, let me end that poll here. I can share the results so y'all can see it. Y'all can, Marco, can y'all see that?
Yeah, I see it. 70,
okay.
30.
All right, cool. Let me stop sharing that poll. There we go, 70-30. All right, y'all. Let's see here. So a little bit of works cited. I know sometimes when I do these presentations for anybody that's new, there's some people inevitably in the chat saying, where did he get this stuff from? Here, I'm just going to put it up here up front on Front Street, screenshot it, do whatever you want to. You can go do your research later, do whatever you got to do. But this is the works cited. This is where I got all the information from. If I don't say it throughout the presentation, this is where it came from. So go ahead and snap a screenshot if you're going to doubt the data, and then you can refer back to it later, do your own research. And if something's wrong, let me know and I'll issue a retraction on the next conversation. But here you go. This is your works cited here. All right. I want to see people in chat. Where did you get this from? Cite your sources. It's all right here. Screenshot it, please. All right. So the data. We're going to look at the data. Okay. Intermarriage in the U.S. As you can see here, across all spectrums except for Asians, interracial marriage has been on the rise from 1980 to 2015, and bringing it to today. It doesn't go to 2022, but it's been steadily creeping up still. But as you can see, among Blacks and white, interracial relationships were really low. Now we're creeping up there, but we're still not interracially dating as much as Asians and Hispanic folks. So these are just the raw numbers here. Okay, a little bit about this chart here. This talking about interracial parents and how the interracial parents are made up. On the left side is husband and wife, and on the right side is wife and husband. Just breaking it down to the Black community, as you can see here. More often than not, we're interracial relationship with white folks. The primary reason being is they make up more of the population than any other group. So, and as you can see, Black men here on the right side intermarry a lot more than Black women on this start here. So 7% to 3%. Our next pair is going to be Hispanic and Black, and as you can see there, and these are for the other races as well, as y'all can see. But more often than not, as you can see here, 1 in 5 include Hispanic husband and white wife. So that's the majority of the interracial parents. We got some little bit more stats here. Okay, breaking down to the Black community specifically, and there's other communities here too. But as you can see, overall, Black men are twice as likely to intermarry than Black women. For all other groups except Asians, it's the disparity is not as wide. As you can see, Hispanics, they're a lot closer together. Whites are a lot closer together, and Asians, there's a wide margin. And we're going to talk about this and why these certain things exist, or why sociologists believe that this disparity exists. And as you can see, that when you start accounting for education, Black men are going to intermarry at almost 3 times as much as Black women. And a little bit about these stats here, Black women would intermarry a lot less if Black men didn't marry as much. So really, if you just factor in all that into disparity, Black women intermarry the least of all groups of people. If you account for Black men, how often we do it, the prevalence of it. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that number, we just bring up, basically Black men are bringing this number, this 12% up. So that's that right there. This little thing here in Britain, 40% of Black men are married or living with a white woman versus 21% of Black women in Britain. Let's see here a little bit about, now we're going to talk about, there are some people in the comments questioning the validity of interracial marriage and whether it worked or whether it didn't work. So we're going to break all that down. 85% of Black men have a Black wife, 93% of Black women have a Black husband. So does it work now? So we saw that before. It appeared that more men are intermarried, but here's what it says about interracial marriage. It says overall the divorce rates are high. This is from Pew Research. Overall divorce rates are higher for couples who marry out than for those who marry in. Interracial couples had a 41% chance of separation divorce compared to 31% who marry within their race. So 31 to 41%. There is an anomaly. There is some things withstanding here, but it says interracial marriages that are most vulnerable to divorce involve white females and non-white males. So they're the ones, if anybody's driving this stat up, is going to be white females to non-white males. Anybody who's driving the statistic down here, and this was actually, I found this data point interesting, and I'll, just take note of this, y'all. It says white men and Black women couplings are actually substantially less likely than white couples to divorce by the 10th year of marriage. So for all other groups, divorce rates are higher, except for when Black women and white men get together. Then the likelihood is the greater chance of success. So that's interesting. I did not know that, but it's interesting. I see Tamika nodding her head. That's very interesting, isn't it? So there you go. So this is what is overall. So overall, for most people, it's a higher chance of divorce, except for Black women and white men after the 10-year mark. So there you go. Do with that what you will. So why is this? Okay. Why is this? And I'm going to call this the Boosie theory of why it is. This is me speculating on why I think that this happens.
It do be different. I don't understand why a white man, you see him in the airport, he got the baddest the baddest Black bitch you done seen in 3 years.
Yep.
But the Black dude got a white girl look like motherfucking Miss Piggy. I don't understand that shit. I swear to God, I don't be understanding that shit.
So that's why Boosie thinks it happens. And I don't. It's anecdotal, but I feel like when I look around, I feel like white guys, when it comes to choosing Black women, they are great pickers. They, I'm like, I'm like, man, okay, you chose well. So I don't know. That's Boosie's theory. That's kind of my theory, but I just put out. I thought it was fun. Just put that out there. All right, so let's move it along. So another poll. We're gonna hit y'all with some polls today, y'all. This is a poll question. The first part of the poll is, given that a comparatively high number of Black men are marrying out, should more Black women do the same? Second question of the poll is, should Black women consider marrying white men, especially considering there's a higher chance of long-term success? So there we go. That's the poll here. And let me launch the poll. Let me find it. That's going to be poll 2. Black women in interracial marriage. And let's launch it. I'm really curious what y'all's thoughts are on this. Poll is launched. We're going to give you about 20 to 30 seconds to answer. Man, these results are interesting. I know y'all can't see them yet. I'm gonna have to write these down too, because this is interesting. Okay, give it a few more seconds. A few more answers are still pouring in. Okay, I think we're going to leave it there. I'm going to end the poll in 5, 4. Okay, y'all all stop. Let me end the poll and let me share the results. So there we go. We're at 68% say Black women should consider marrying out. And then a little less percent think they should consider marrying out to white men. even though that the chances are higher. So it dropped a little bit from the 68%. Some people think that just because there's a higher chance of success doesn't necessarily mean that they should specifically try to marry white men. So that's interesting. Very, very interesting. There was only a fall off of what, one? Oh, yeah, only about three less people agreed to that last one. So there we go. That's a poll for the second one. Interesting. Oh, somebody's trying to get in here. Oh, I got two people trying to get in here. How do I let them in? I gotta stop sharing. Oh, you got it. Oh, you can do it. All right, sweet. All right, y'all. So this is some data from the last one, and we talked about. We were talking about. There's a conversation. Some of y'all may have missed it, but we talked about, is there a shortage of men? And I did a lot of numbers, and I broke it down, and ultimately what I came to was a ratio of about 9 men to 11 women. We're talking about single folks, but now with these new numbers I didn't account for interracial marriage. So this is new data that I didn't factor into the equation. But when I factor it in, looking at these data points that I saw here, and this is just a rough guesstimate here. So I took in the fact of homosexuality. I took into effect the prison myth, and it just looked over, all these things. It looked at it by region in Atlanta. And so this is the new numbers. So 9 to 11, it's about 7 or 7.5 to 11 is the new ratio of what men to women are. So before I was making the case that there really isn't a shortage of men like that. I mean, if 11 women go to a party, only 2 are going to get left out. Now it's a little different. Now I can say there's a moderate shortage of black men for black women. 11 women go to a party, about 4 of them are going to, almost getting close to half are not going to leave if they're trying to get a black man with somebody. So that's very interesting data there, I thought. A comment here. I think I saw Jay in here, but he had said this. He said, no one demonizes. He said, he said, when black women have their reason for dating outside, no one demonizes bringing down black men. However, flip it around and it's you hate your mother. And I said, there's definitely a double standard. And I definitely feel like there is a double standard about interracial marriage, at least in terms of perceptions and attitudes. And I'm starting to see, doing this research, I'm seeing where a lot of that's coming from, because there is a legitimate shortage. So I can understand how there might be a double standard in a lot of people's minds and thinking. But I wanted to ask this question here, and we're going to lead right into another poll. I know it's we just did a poll, but we're going to get right into another one here. And I want to ask this question: if okay, so we got two political parties, right? You got Barack Obama, Michelle, and Kamala, and I forget his name, but that's her husband. And I wonder, like, if Barack Obama had a white wife, would he still be supported? Because Kamala had a white husband, and she was universally supported by men and women. But I wonder if women would support Barack if he had a white wife. I don't think they would have. I don't think that he would have been president if he had a white wife. It's just a little Gina looking, she's frowning. I don't think so. I do not think so. And we're going to do a poll on that. But I don't think so. Marco, what do you think? Do you think that Barack Obama would have been supported if he had a white wife?
No, I don't think so.
Brandy might have stepped away. She said she has some stuff going on tonight. All right, let's see here. So this is a question here. It's a long poll. Let me go ahead and get ready to launch it. But first question: is there a double standard when it comes to interracial marriage in the black community? And given the shortage of black men and black women, are black women if you believe it, is there anger justified at black men who marry out? And would black women still have supported Barack if his wife was white? So we're going to launch that poll. I'm really curious what y'all answers are on this one. Let me find it here. Where is it? Poll 3. I like these polls, y'all. Is this poll 3? I only got 2 questions. Oh no, this ain't gonna work. Let's see. Oh, where'd it go? Let me see if I can edit it real quick. No, I can't do it. Crap. All right. Well, I can't do the Barack Obama one. We'll just launch it as is.
There it is. It's up there.
Oh, the Barack Obama's questions in there?
Oh, the double standards?
No, but there's one about Barack Obama specifically.
Oh, no.
If it's what, man, I wanted to get that answer to that one. Y'all go ahead and answer the one that's up here. I am so mad. I want to know the answer. I want to know the answer to that question. We'll give y'all maybe 20 more seconds to answer.
They say they can answer in the comments.
Yeah. Can you get like a answer yes or no in the comments? And Marco, can you track that in the comments who what people agree with? So after y'all did the poll, I'm gonna end the poll right now. I'm gonna share the results so y'all can see it. But 80% believe there is a double standard. And let's see, only 45% believe it's justified. So it's 80 to 20 and given the shortage. So they believe there is a double standard, but it's not justified. Wow, man, y'all are really surprising me with these. So Mark, you tracking the results, kind of get a, I know it's gonna be hard because I don't know if a lot of people are answer yes or no in the comments. Would Barack Obama have been supported if his wife was white? And Marco's gonna work on getting a tally of that. I'm gonna give him a second, y'all. Sorry, we gotta slow this thing down because I want to know the answer to this one. I want to know what y'all think on this one. And we're gonna talk about it too, y'all. We're gonna break this down afterwards. How are we looking, Marco? You just a little struggle right now?
Yeah, I'm getting like 50-50 right now.
About 50-50 is what you see?
Yeah.
All right, we'll roll with that. We'll roll with that. All right, y'all. We're gonna move it along for the sake of conversation. That's interesting. So I'm gonna put 50-50 for it. It's probably closer to the
It's actually probably closer to no now. I'm seeing a lot of no's.
oh, so he wouldn't have been supported.
A lot of no's. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right, let's see here. I'll probably have to wait for y'all to chime in on that one and see what y'all really think about it. All right, so why the gap? Okay, why the gap? We're gonna break it down. And I wish, let's see here. What is this here? The general pattern explains that. Okay, so this is what they say. The general pattern to be explains that blacks are more in demand as husbands than they are as wives, and vice versa for Asians. The question is, what accounts for it? So Melody had a theory, and I really didn't like what Melody wrote here, but she said most non-black women who date black men will do so for superficial reasons. And then she started to list off some of the reasons that she viewed as superficial. I don't know if Melody's in the house tonight. Maybe she can answer for this. And let's see here. And then she started to say, but in doing this, in this reason, if y'all notice, there's not a positive reason why other groups of women are marrying black men. From her perspective, it was for superficial and negative reasons on both sides, while black men coupled with other women and while other women coupled with black men. So, I mean, do that. Let's see. And I just ask the question, is this celebrating? Like, the question is like, go where you're celebrated or do something. Is this like a celebration of black men? I hate to put Mally on spot, but and that's hurtful, not only black men, but women who like black men of other races. But let's see here. Is that Melody trying to say something?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. What do you think, Melody? You just want to say something real quick in reference to that?
Yeah, I do stand by what I say because when you talk to women of other races and you ask them, why are you dating him if he's a black man? You don't say if he's a black man, but if she's dating a black man, usually it's very superficial reasons. It's oh, I like his swag, I like his do-rag. Oh, we all know there's sexual reasons involved. What you don't hear is you do not hear her say he's a good provider. He's a man of character. He treats me well. You don't hear any reasons of substance. And I think what I'm saying is backed up by statistics, because if you look at statistics, we see that many, when black men marry out, usually those relationships don't work. So I'm not talking just out of my neck. I mean, this is just what we can see. And if you notice, when a white man marries a black woman, it's usually, oh, she's a good partner, she's a go-getter, she's intelligent, all the things that black men don't like about us.
We're gonna let you talk.
All black men, but all the things that, if a black man doesn't like a black woman, he's usually naming things that white men are totally not intimidated by. He's like, these are all the things that make her a great wife, And if a black woman dates out It's really because Black women, we do prefer Black men.
Melody, we're gonna let you talk more on later. I just want to get a quick response. We got to move
Oh, I'm
along.
sorry
But
about that.
no, you're fine. But we're gonna we got to keep it pushing here. So that was her answer. She can probably flesh it out a little more. But and what she said to me, it would, if we're talking about short-term mating, and I'll let you respond this later, Melody. If we're talking about short-term mating, but the fact is that Black men and other women and all these other people are marrying out. They're not just going and hooking up and having sex. They're actually getting married. So the superficial reasons might work for a hookup, but there's actual marriages happening. And you singled out and said, well, Black men, the relationships aren't working. They're not working across the board except for Black women and white men. So that's just something I want you to think about. You kind of singled out Black men like we're these horrible. Daniel, I see you got your hand up. At the end, Daniel, you'll be the first one to chime in. But we're gonna keep it pushing here. But I think a more realistic answer is that men and women across racial lines are more similar than different when it comes to mate selection. This is what the statistically and what the data shows.
Just
and we're
you
gonna
don't
break
think
it
about
down
how
here.
books
Live forever.
live forever.
Well, let's read a passage from your book. Why don't
Oh
we?
my God. Here we go.
This is why I propose that Black women and Asian men join forces in love, marriage, and procreation.
That's my
Educated
parents.
Black women, what better intellectual match for you than an Asian man? Do you still stand by that?
Okay, so that was Issa Rae a few years back. She had gotten into some hot water over some some comments she wrote in a book, and she had suggested that Black women couple with Asian men because on the dating market, as y'all saw from the chart, that in terms of desirability, both are not as desirable on the mating and dating market. And so she had suggested that they get back together. And so she was in some hot water behind that commentary. But and then when social scientists and when people who study this thing they're trying to figure out like, why is this so? Like, why is this happening? Why are people doing this? The number one factor where they saw consistency was when it comes to, let me pull it down here, perceptions of femininity and perceptions of masculinity. So we're going to break it down by women. When we talk about outside of physical appearance, the way one looks, the way they're framed, the way they carry themselves, when we talk about femininity and masculinity, these are some of the typical things that come to mind overall. These are stereotypes, granted, but these are just general things when people think about masculinity and femininity, just to frame the conversation for you. So these are masculine traits, feminine traits. It's very superficial, but this is kind of where people are at with it. All right. So when it comes to women, and all of this is a comparison of white women. So white women, people tend to view white women as in the middle of femininity. They believe Asian women to be high in femininity, and they believe Black women to be low in femininity. These are perceptions across race. So every group of men thinks this in reference to women. Every group of women think this in reference to men. They view white men as moderately masculine. And all the data is backed up in the work cited at the beginning of the conversation. They view Black men as being higher in masculinity, and they view Asian men as being low in masculinity. So this, in terms of the things that social scientists can look at to explain for it, this is what was like kind of like the thing that was most concrete and where there wasn't a lot of variability yet. But there are other factors. But let me say here. Okay, so this was actually where I had got some of the information from. It said, on average, Black men tend to appear slightly more and Asian men slightly less masculine than white men. And while Asian women are typically seen slightly more and Black women slightly less feminine than white women. Let's see here. It says the driving force driving these skewed husband-wife approaches appear to be differences in perceived sexual attractiveness. Okay. So some additional considerations, because it's just not all one note. It's just not a masculine thing. There are other things that go into factor into it. And one thing for men is height and resources. Asian men just statistically, Asian men are shorter. So that's a factor and that's a consideration. But a thing where there was no consistency is because Asian men overall have higher amount of resources than men of other groups. So that's why that's not a consistent variability that they can look at. But whereas overall, when it comes to men, now this is just in terms of the way masculinity is viewed, but overall, women of all genders, except for Black women, view white men as like most prized on the dating market because they view white men as having a moderate amount of masculinity, being okay height, and having an amount of having access to resources. So this is just overall on the dating market. But Asian men on the dating market are is considered less despite their resources because of perceived lack of masculinity and height. So let's see, for women, thing that looks at one consideration for men is weight. Men of other ethnicities, Asian men and white men, they're not as they don't, they curvier, they're not as tolerant as like, of weight like black men are. And this is just statistics, y'all. This is what it is. Black men, I like curvy women. That's where I'm at with. I like slim thicks, I like thick thicks or whatever, so, but other groups don't tend to not like that. So that's what it's accounting for that in that when it comes to women. So that's a thing there. Let's see here. Keeping black men and white women apart was main. I thought this was interesting here. It said keeping black men and white women apart was the main purpose of Jim Crow. Let's see here. It said, so there was a study that showed that keeping blacks down also retarded their own economic progress, but whites felt that the price they had to pay to make black men less attractive to white women. So this is like from looking from a Jim Crow era. And I never thought about Jim Crow from that perspective, from like a dating and mating type thing. But when you think about it, it's like, wow, because when you think about a lot of lynchings and stuff like that, women weren't being lynched for being with white men. Black men were being lynched for being with white women, looking at white women. It's really for me, I'm just like, when I think about it now, it's like, wow, like this, like what's going on here? But it said to the extent that white racism persists, it should limit the proportions of black men, white women couples. So I thought that was very interesting. Okay, so we're almost I think this is my last slide here, but talking about shifting ideas and things. This is like, y'all remember, maybe, I don't know if it was earlier last year or when it was, but they were trying to cancel, and we're talking about femininity here. I'm still on the femininity tip, y'all. But they were trying to cancel Cater to You. Like they were trying to cancel a song, Cater. I wish I had pulled the lyrics up. But if anybody, y'all know Cater to You, the song that the Destiny's Child kind of talk about catering to their men. And a lot of people were wanting to cancel it. So Aria said, it was just somebody, y'all can just see these different reactions that people had. One person compared it to slavery. Taking care of your man was like slavery. This one person said, I can't believe Destiny Child saying build the building, turn around saying Cater to You. I thought that was funny. So these are some reactions that people were having. A lot of sisters were having to the idea of catering to a man, which we can kind of, put in the realm of femininity, but this was like the idea. So I just thought that was interesting. So I got one more video, y'all, and that's going to be it. And we got one more video, one more poll, then we're going to open it up. All right, so let's see here. So that's just interesting. Let me see here. Where's this video?
FBI. Even though I don't think I'll ever get married again, I have an FBI woman here in Thailand. Let me present the evidence. She's feminine. She's beautiful. And by the way she takes care of me, she inspires me every day.
I don't ask for this way to go. This is what she do. How cool,
she lets me get my work done. She doesn't nag. She makes me breakfast every morning. And she can fry some chicken. Taj know how to fry. I even taught her how to make grits. She makes me grits in the morning. She's learning pancakes. She's a good cook. I mean, whatever I like or whatever makes me happy, that's what she does to keep me happy. She even took up golf because she saw it was something I enjoyed doing. She plays the Oculus Quest with me, dropping it like it's hot, punching and ducking. Being a domestic partner is normal for her. I take care of the bills, she takes care of the house. That's the kind of world I want to live in. Let me give you another example. As I'm editing, she'll see my fingernails are dirty and start cutting my nails. I can't make this up. To some American women, this is a bad or weak thing. Not to her, and definitely not to me. This is my version of FBI. And when I take her out, she looks beautiful for me. And she already has beautiful brown skin, and sometimes she curls it up to give her that biracial look. I'm not saying all women in Thailand are like this, but I'm saying when you're dating a woman in her 30s, it's a good chance this is what you're gonna get. This is my partner in crime, my lover, my friend, my translator, my right hand here in Thailand. Thai women love black men. I'm gonna do an episode on that as well. And after she saw those ladies that saw her like that color, guess what she did? Went right out and laid out and got dark. That's my girl.
All right, so that was just a YouTuber, YouTube channel, Zoom to Thailand. Melly's ready to go, but he this is a black man and a Asian woman pairing, and there you go. So, and if you go to this actual video and you look at the comments, and this is just something I want everybody to think about. Like, a lot of brothers were in shock to see this sort of behavior exhibited to a black man, and I mean, I see some wild comments from what was said there. Like, just like a lot of guys are just like, like some guys say it's a weird stuff. Like they like, I saw this and I was crying. I don't understand that, but this is what guys were saying. I don't understand why the tears, but this is like a culture shock for a lot of guys, and it just this is like to show that a lot of black men feel like femininity is missing, and they feel like they have to go elsewhere to get femininity. And I'm curious what our sisters think of this. I want they to think of this dynamic in this relationship here, but also just think of the perceptions of femininity. So this is a last and final poll here before we open it up. And let me pull it up here, but y'all can read. Let's see, where is it? Poll 4, but y'all can read the poll here. Poll: are perceptions about black women overall not being feminine partners in relation to other groups of women accurate? So is it accurate that black women, as compared to other women, aren't as feminine? And should black women seek to become more feminine partners? This question 2 assumes that you agree with question 1. All right, let's see. Ray just came in just in time for the poll. We're gonna let Ray in here and let me launch the poll. We'll give y'all about a minute to answer. If you don't agree with the question 1, then you don't have to answer question 2. These results are pouring in. We'll give y'all a few more seconds. Oh, wow. And I am surprised at the poll results thus far. Okay. Oh, wow. These poll results are interesting. Huh. Oh, wow. Ladies, I'm going to have to hear y'all take on this, on these poll results. Marco, y'all see these poll results? Can you see them?
Yeah, I can see him.
Okay, so you can see him load. You're a co-host. Bacchus, you can't see him yet? Okay. All right, give y'all a few more seconds. I think almost about everybody answered.
I just want to say real quick, I've been to the Philippines and Thailand about 10, 15 times, and everything that brother says right there is majority true, not 100%, but honest to God truth, it's a whole different world.
All right. We're gonna let you speak on it, but yeah, there you go. You going. All you got to do is say I've been 10 times, and we kind of see what's up. But let me share the results here. There you go. So, well, we do have more women in the house, but look at those results here. Let me write this down. So let's see, the first question was, so 44% no, 56 yes. So it's almost split. And to the second one, should they seek to become, that's interesting. So they do think black women should seek to become more feminine, but they don't believe that in comparison to other women as feminine. So that's very interesting. Some split result. That's probably the most odd poll results that we've had thus far, because everything's been consistent from the jump, except for this one. There's some variability right here. So less people don't believe that in comparison they're less feminine, but they do believe that they should try to seek to become more feminine partners. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. So that's it. Let me stop here. I think I already shared the results. Let me stop the share. Close that up. Stop share. All right. So if you want to talk, we go in order. We go by people on camera first, and then we get to the people who are not on camera. There's a little button down at the bottom where you can do a reaction, and just raise your hand, and that'll put you in the queue. And let's see here. We got a good number of folks lined up ready to speak on this. Marco or Brandy, y'all got any thoughts? What y'all thought about what was presented there? Well, I guess let me lead this. If y'all just want to start off and figure out where to go with the conversation, you can start off by saying what's your position on interracial relationships, and then if any one of the things that we had targeted and talked about, because if we break this down by each category, we'll be here for a long time. Why you're for, why you're against, or anything like that. Just think about overall everything we had talked about here, whether it's something in the video you saw, some of the questions, but it's very interesting. But all right, and try, if y'all can, just for the sake of conversation, keep y'all's commentary a little brief, just because there's a lot of people who want to weigh in. I see Courtney got her hand. Courtney's gonna chime in. Courtney's y'all is about to retire. She looks good, man. Lord have mercy. Like they say, black don't crack. Like she's about to retire from the military, man. And we got okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna stop ranting, y'all. But y'all think about what y'all want to say. Go ahead, Daniel. You're up.
Hey, what's going on, y'all?
Go
All right,
ahead,
so I
brother.
wanna so I wanted to reply to what's her name, Brandy?
Melody.
Oh, Melody, yeah, Melody, yeah. I mean, no disrespect, but I gotta disagree with that because she said that other races look at black men, you know, like for the reason for them dating them is superficial.
Right.
I gotta disagree with that because like us as a community, I can't really put that on other you can't really put that on other races because us as a community, like because of our priorities, we all look at each other like that. You know what I'm saying? Because like especially in the hood, like everything, like we short-term thinkers. Everything from our diet, our money, even long-term relationships and dating. We don't think about the effects that's gonna you know, the dating that want like that person that's right for us in the moment. We don't think about the long-term effects that's gonna you know, that's gonna cause. You know, like cause with black women, I mean it's both men and women. Like when black women look at men, like they in the club, like, oh, I want to fuck him, or he cute, or whatever the situation is, and
Try to
it's
watch
either
y'all's
or.
language, everybody. But
Oh,
keep going,
excuse me,
brother.
so,
You're all right. You're all
my
right.
bad, my bad. Sorry about that. Like, or he cute, or you know, or he got money. Like they don't look for financial stability. They looking for inward with money, so he could spend money on them, get their hair done, fly him out, and you know what I'm saying. But and then even men too, like when men had babies, like you know that's why we got a bunch of babies running around, and even like a lot of men being irresponsible because they don't think about if a girl, like they don't think about if a female a wife, or you know, like, or would be a good mom, like, oh, it's because she got fat ass, or you know, or she bad, so he, you know what I'm saying, so he just, you know,
Right.
he just
Well, let
being
me.
irresponsible.
Yeah. Well, I think you answered. We're gonna let Melody. We're gonna let Melody jump the line because I had her in the presentation. She has her hand up now, and you
Yeah.
just said something about her, so I'm sure she wants to respond. But I'm going to say that what you're saying would be true for short term, but as we saw, long term, people are still marrying out. And the other point that we need to talk about here is that black men are not doing it more than other groups of men. You know what I mean? We're right on par. The real question that to me begs of all of this is why aren't black women doing it? Because everybody else, it makes sense why it's happening, but from looking at the data, black women aren't doing it. So that's the real, that if there's any kind of question that we have about why people are doing any of this stuff, it's like, why aren't black women doing it? And I never made my position clear, but I'm not for interracial and I'm not against it. I'm just for black coupling, but I'm not against people going where they're celebrated. So that was kind of a trick poll I threw out there because I didn't leave. I made y'all take a stand on it, but I don't really personally have a stand on it. But thanks, Daniel. And sorry I had to cut you off, but we got a lot of people wanting to weigh in. It's a hot topic, but I appreciate your commentary. And we're gonna let Melody. We're gonna let Melody answer.
And I'll try to be brief. I'm with you. I actually don't have a stance on it. I believe people can do what they want to do. But I just think that many people are doing it for the wrong reasons. And I do think especially black men. But I do agree with what my brother just said, that a lot of people are, men and women are actually objectifying each other. But I still think it's more on the man side. I still do think that black men really should think more long term instead of just what they want to please, their sexual desires in the moment. But and you did ask the question, this is my last thing, as to why black women don't date out. Well, we don't because we actually want to save our community. And we know that saving our community means marrying each other, having black children, and raising them to be productive citizens. So that's why we don't do it, because we are loyal and we know that marrying out is not helping our community. It's not doing anything for us. And the money is going to be funneled right back into the white community. So that's why we actually want to save our community. And everything else I think is in the comments. I'm not going to go on and on, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, interesting. I appreciate you for camming up because you were saying some stuff in the comments. So it's good that you were Braveheart and you showed up. Well, there you go. Well, thank you, Melody. That was her take. A little less spicy than what she was saying in the comments, but she stands by her commentary. Gina, you're up.
Hey, everybody. I'll try to keep it brief. So I neither agree or disagree with what other people do. I wouldn't do it because I have sons and I need my sons to have a Black man example because they will be Black men. So there's no scenario where I would do that. But also, one of the things that I feel is not being said is, of course, every race wants to date Black men. This is the cream of the crop. This is the Asiatic man. Who is better than a Black man? Of course, everybody wants a Black man. Now, the flip side is everyone wants a Black woman's characteristics, but they don't want it as a part of us. So that's why they want a booty, they want a tan, they want curly hair, they want all the things that we have, and that's been forever. That's why in previous centuries, the white European women wore bustles and corsets because they were trying to have bodies like the African women had when their husbands came back talking about that. So I think the thing there is, of course, everyone wants to be where they're celebrated, but oftentimes we as Black women are fetishized more than we're celebrated. And I'm not saying that's all interracial relationships, but that seems to be more of a thing for that. And then I just have one more point. If you are thinking that Black women are less feminine, I think the statistics, or not even the statistics, the way people view that is not necessarily accurate because they base it on the femininity of single women. Because if you notice, like, I'm not single. I've never been really single in my life, but for the women that I know that always keep a man, they're very feminine. Like, my dude would never fix his own plate if I'm in the house. Like, those are just things that are based on how you were reared. I was raised in the house with my father. I never saw my father fix a plate. So I don't take that as slavery. I take that as the thing that we do in this household to respect and honor this man after he's been out having the world against him. And also, I think what is not fair is, I think that if all of a race of men is like socially gone after, like you're looked at the enemy as the enemy of the state, that is going to create a certain person in just general. Of course, people can, overcome trauma and all that kind of stuff, but I think it's harder for Black women to live in femininity when the mates that they have, the fathers, the brothers they have, are basically in a war situation all the time. So we don't get the opportunity to be as feminine as, say, another group of women whose men are not under attack from the time they breathe. And that's what I got to say about that.
Great commentary, great perspective, Gina. I definitely want to ask you some follows, but we got a lot of people, so I'm gonna have to move it around because I do want to ask you a question, but I just got to move around. Bacchus, you're up. You're muted. You're muted, Bacchus. Bacchus, you're muted. You're muted.
All right, cool. Is that better? My bad.
Yep.
All right. I got two screens this time. I'm trying to upgrade my system over here.
All
But
right.
anyway, you got me? You can hear me?
Yep.
All right, cool. I actually took notes this time, so I just wanted to just say on the point. A lot of us some of us will probably remember Family Matters and Steve Urkel with Laura, but there was also the other girl, Myra. Myra loved Laura, and I think this is pretty much that situation. You go where you're appreciated, not where you're tolerated. And that's one reason why I said I've been to Thailand and Philippines multiple times. And over there, we really are appreciated. Quite frankly, outside of America, we really are appreciated. That's
hold on, Bacchus. Now you said go where you're appreciated for Black men. I don't think, sorry for cutting you off. People tell me I do that, but Black men are appreciated here in the U.S. and we're even appreciated by Black women, so much so that they don't even want to marry out as much as other groups of women. So how do we're already going where we're celebrated. The real question is, should Black women do it? I'm sorry for cutting you off, but something I just want to throw out there.
But I can totally answer that. When I do go these places, I do see Black women out there doing their thing. But here's what's up. I don't see them with anybody besides their group of friends, Black girls trips or whatever the case may be. But when I run into other brothers, they are out there with the locals and are very happy, and we talk about these things that we are getting really more appreciated being elsewhere, not just white women, because my first wife was white. And I completely understand what they mean by that. But I could tell you straight up, my first time having sex was I was 13. The first time I kissed a woman I was 16. And the first woman I kissed was actually a white girl. I mean, fucking Black girls for like many years. But I'm sorry, I was being with Black girls for many years, but there was no kissing, no making out involved. It was a different experience. But I just always looked at the Urkel situation, him going after Laura and Myra going after him. I just wanted to say on that part. The other thing that Melanie just said, I just want to say from my experiences, white girls usually date the brothers that Black girls don't want. The lames, the scrubs, the dudes that don't have the swag like that or whatever the case is. And when Black girls see, oh, you're with this brother, well, the thing about it is I've been hollering at all y'all sisters all year, y'all didn't want me. The white girl wanted me. So I want love too. I want to be just as happy as you are with your man. If I got to go over here to get it, why am I the bad guy for that? Because you're not giving it to me at all. The other thing about Issa Rae talking about Black women should get with Asian men. Unfortunately, sorry, this has just been said in I can't say that statistic word. Anyway, thank you, appreciate it. There was the lowest dating on the poll. Like seriously, well, Asian men hate seeing me with their girlfriends. I'm not even gonna lie. It is what it is. And save the community, please. There's enough brothers having a whole bunch of kids out here for the community to continue for a lot of years. They're just not having the families and the connection because of the women they choose to reproduce with or the women of the men that they choose to reproduce with. So that's a whole nother topic on something else. And a fetish is basically just a fantasy. Honest to God truth. It's oh wow, I see that, I want to try that, write it up, have a story to tell the grandkids and move on. So if a white man had fetishized against a Black woman, it's just something that he may never have in his life. And he just always wanted to try and move on. And that works for everybody. A brother could do that, a Black woman could do that. It doesn't matter. Try, do your thing, live your life. But we count all these things about marriages and long term. I'd much rather be married and be in something long term than just running through a bunch of different things. So that's what I had to say. I'm glad I wrote it down. So
there you go. There you go. Bacchus's commentary. All right, Makita, you're up.
It's Makeda.
Makeda, I'm sorry. Welcome. My first time seeing you.
Yeah, it's my first time being here.
What do you think so far?
It's interesting. There's some hot takes here. So personally, I am in an interracial relationship, interracial marriage. My husband is white.
Okay.
And we've gotten some feedback from all types of people. People come up to him, Black women have come up to him and been like, you don't deserve her, you don't belong with her.
Wow.
And white men have said stuff like that to me. So we get it from all sides in terms of people, men saying, you're so fine, why are you with a white man, all this stuff. So I think everybody has a take on it. Everybody has something to say to us,
Mm-hmm.
So, and I wrote my senior essay in my economics degree on economics of the family about this issue with Black women not getting married, because not only they're the least married, not only, least married to outside of the race, the least married race overall is Black women. And I do think that you should go where you're celebrated. That I think that you should be with somebody who is kind to you, who loves you, and will take care of you, whether that's financially, they love you, they take care of you, you know, whether it's with love and care. And that's why I chose to be with my partner, because he's a good partner, not because he's white or not because, you know, all these other stuff. So yeah, that's my take.
There you go. Thank you. It's good. It's good hearing from somebody. Well, I guess we had a few people who's already done it. Bacchus has done it, and you, from the female perspective, have done it. Did you take offense at the Boosie commentary?
Yeah. I mean, because people have said stuff like that to me, like, "Oh, you're too this, you're too that to be with
Is
him."
it? But let me ask you this, and not to be offensive, but is it true? Well, I'm not saying you're too, but in terms of attractiveness, look, I know people don't like the rating system, but if you were to rate yourself, whatever it is, and you rate your husband, are y'all kind of in the same ballpark, or is your husband? Because you can look at it objectively.
I think my husband is handsome. I mean, he's tall.
Are y'all on a similar level of attractiveness?
I mean, I'm attracted to him. I don't know, like, he's really tall. Like, I really like really tall guys. That's my thing. He's 6'6", so that was my hard line in the sand. I don't date guys under 6'3". That was my superficial thing that I have always thought since I was younger, because I'm 5'10", so I'm tall.
Well,
but I never had anything against an Asian man, but they're shorter. Statistically, they're shorter. So I would only date an Asian man who's above 6'3". That's just my superficial thing that
All right. Well, thank you. There you go. That's her commentary, and it's anecdotal from my perspective. But when I look, you know, I mean, there's no homo, but when I just kind of look at the matchup, I'm kind of like, man, white guys are really choosing well. That's what it seems like, and I don't knock them for it because I get it, you know. So that's just from my anecdotal experience. But thank you so much.
It's from that perspective, I think that there is an idea that there's this very specific kind of black women that a lot of white men are interested in, because there's a stereotype of what a beautiful black woman looks like, you know, and it's a stereotype that everybody has, you know. She has to look like this, she has to have this body type, she has to have this skin tone, she has to have her hair like this. Like, there's all these stereotypes that all people have about what a beautiful black woman is. So I think that feeds into it more than anything.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Tamika, you're up.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, so I want to just touch on something about the Thailand and everything like that. Most of these men that are Americans, no matter what their race is, they're going over to these third world countries where these people are literally living in poverty. Okay, so because if you compare the poverty over here in America versus the third world, it is not comparable at all. And so, of course, these women are pandering to these men because they're in a uncomfortable living situation.
In that video, you think that was pandering what she was doing?
Yeah, and we see a lot of cases of it where they're trying to get citizenship to live a better life. And I probably, if I was born in a third world country, I probably would be, I don't know, I probably would be doing the same thing. But we see time and time again when the ending result is they get what they want, which is American citizenship, it changes. So they're being used, because I don't want to date someone under this guise because they want me to change their life, their way of living. So that is more times than not, it's because they're in a third world country living terrible and they're depending on these gullible men. But let me move on to the next one.
Tamika, have you been there before? Have you seen them personally?
I don't have to go to Thailand to go.
Okay.
But I've experienced, because they ain't the only country that's third world. We've seen
I understand
it.
that.
Let me finish before you interrupt me, because I didn't interrupt you. So,
hold on, Bacchus, I'll let you get a 1 minute rebuttal, but we're gonna let her finish out her point. You got to unmute yourself. I had to mute you, Tamika. You were kind of going off.
Okay, so when we talk about Black women being more masculine, Black women have had to live in their masculine because a lot of them are single mothers, been left. I know more people in growing up, and I don't know the age group in here, but I'll be 50 this year. And so there are a lot of Black women that have had to be everything, the mother, the father, and everything, because the Black man has had to has run away from his family, and so the woman has had to live in her masculinity and not afforded the luxury of living in her femininity. And one thing I need Black women to stop doing is start doing is holding Black men accountable. Talking about, oh, the white man and the Black man got it so hard. Well, baby, guess what? You're not only Black, but you're a woman. So you got 2 counts against you that you didn't even have certain rights as a woman and exactly as a Black man, but you pushed through, but you still coddling the Black man and not wanting him to be accountable. And my last point is this. A lot of times when you're dealing with men, Black men specifically, that they outside of their race, this is what I want Black women to know. They get the same, those women are getting the same Black men. You see a lot of them being left, being single mothers. You mentioned a lot of marriage, but a lot of these men, Black men, are not marrying these women of no color either. They're leaving them single mothers just like they're leaving Black women. And you see a higher divorce rate with them of dating out, because that woman who he put up on a pedestal, she's getting the same Black man we got. And so that's why you're seeing that. And I don't know if I heard you correctly, but it's Asian women and Black men who date the most out of their race than any other race. But the failure rate is with the Black man, and it doesn't matter what race of woman that they've gotten with. And I'm gonna go on and mute my mic.
All right, Tamika, you were a little hot there, and you said some things that were. I hear what you're saying. I hear the heart, and I can hear that you're really passionate about it. But you said a lot of stuff that was just flat. It was toward the end there that was just untrue. And I put the data right in the presentation. Like you said, Black men were dating out Black men and Asian women. Asian women, yes. Black men, no. By percentage, Hispanic men, then Black men, and then Asian men are kind of right behind there. And white, so it's just Black men just aren't doing it to the degree that you're saying, so it's just statistically not true. And I shared it in the presentation. So it's just not true. Black men aren't doing it the most. And you also insinuated that Black men are Black men are the one that's driving up the statistics on the failure rate of interracial relationships is white women, according to statistics. I shared that in the presentation as well. But overall, Black men have a better chance at long-term success by statistics being with a Black woman than being in an interracial coupling. But we're not driving up the statistics as you suggested. Well, it's anecdotal, and you and Melody have kind of made that point, but it's just not true according to the stats. But I'm gonna let Bacchus, because you had said something about the top thing. I'm gonna give Bacchus a brief minute to just briefly respond to that, because he's been there a few times and that's been his experience. Go ahead, Bacchus, just real quick.
I would agree with what you said at the very end, that yes, the Asian women do date outside a lot, and usually it is for more the white guys than the brothers. They would use a brother to get to the white guy. I've seen this a lot of times. Most of my friends are married. Most of my Black friends are married to Asian women. But I could tell you this from being there several times, and not just being in the hot spots, actually going way out to places where they've never seen a brother. I've seen families where the women cater to their men, and they don't have anything. They're not looking for that billionaire to come sweep them off their feet and just be out there. The culture is they believe more in family. That's just the culture. If you go there, you go away from the tourist traps, you would see that and understand that. So for us to kind of want a family and want to be catered to and want that love and respect, and going out there and being able to get that, I mean, what's wrong with that? If that's what you're offering, there's no reason for a brother to go anywhere if you're giving him that. But a lot of the girls we meet out there do say that they see where they hear what Black women are talking about or American women are talking about, and they just don't follow it. That's why feminism has not worked that well.
All right, Bacchus, we gotta move it along. I'm sorry, man, but we got other people waiting. I just wanted you to get that in there because she had said that. And also, I thought it was really wild that a woman cooking for a man, playing video games with him, dressing nice for him, that's pandering to them. Like, wow, that's where we're at. That's wild. That's a wild statement. Go ahead, Los, you're up.
I do agree with Tamika as far as Black women not being seen as feminine because they have had to live in their masculinity, as I think she said, that's the main reason why I believe in the nuclear family. I believe that the Black man should be around to help raise his kids and family and stuff like that for the upcoming brothers and the young ladies. But one thing, the only reason that I really chimed in because of this narrative of Black men being intimidated by women. I don't see that, period. Perhaps some should be, but I don't know one brother that's intimidated by any female.
Was that being said in the comments, or you just talking about overall?
It come up every time we have a conversation.
Right.
Somebody will say that a Black, I did see it in the chat one time today. They'll say that Black men are intimidated. I've seen it in the chat that white men aren't intimidated by Black women, but Black men are, and that's just not true.
I agree with you there.
If a Black man told you that, black women, he was lying. He don't like you for another reason. That's all I got to say.
All right, there we go. Los, Jedi Master. All right, Michael, you're up.
First, good evening, everybody. So a couple of things. Going towards first Tamika, then what Baka said. Tamika, the part that, and I was trying.
We can't just because for the sake of conversation, Michael, we can't do like a back and forth between you two.
No problem.
Yeah, if you have a statement to say to her, say it. But we just for the sake of moving along, we got a lot of people.
Okay, so the statement was saying, and I think this is the conflict. There's probably, I think the biggest thing, especially when we're interracial dating, is the marriage part. You're not hearing a list of single white women, single white mothers. So the white women are demanding marriage to impress their fathers, to impress their families. The marriage part is the key. Now, what was also said was that as far as Black men, there's Black men, I put myself included, as we were getting up in age from the teenage to the 20s to the 30s, women may have saw he's being soft, or he's not as strong, or he's not as thorough, and all those different synonyms that they want to use just to put that guy either in a friend zone or put this guy in like, I'm not even going to worry about him now. And then it comes to the point that they either whip babies because they didn't get married before they had the babies. They're sitting up there saying, I'm getting at this age, and I now need to it's time for me to get married. And who's left in the pool that want to take me at this older age? Or the last thing that is probably most prevalent is like, wait a second. Well, my sisters are getting married, and why am I stuck here? I don't want to be left alone, and my families are ahead of me because I'm the oldest of the family, or I'm the youngest of the family. So it's all these perceptions that I need to be in this level. And the thing is that not one of them are asking, or the men that, I bet you ask every woman right now, how many Black men are your friends in your friend zone that will actually be your husbands, but you won't give them the time nor the day to even make them your husbands? And I land my mic there.
There we go. We're gonna kind of talk about that next conversation. That next one's gonna be a fire burner, man. I don't know how we're going to really approach this next one, but we might get into that a little bit. But thanks, Mike, man. And thanks for showing up to the event the other day, man. I saw you on your table. You was holding court over there, man. You had some great conversations over there. And it's good seeing people from the virtual conversations come out in real life and chop it up with the people and mingle and mix it up. And so that's really what it's about, man. We're about making friends and keeping it positive and stuff like that. We're doing some heavy lifting here in these virtual conversations, having some real spicy dialogue, but it's needed, man. And kudos to everybody who can show up to these conversations, man, because this is tough. But thanks, Michael. Melody, you got your hand raised. Were you trying to get back in there? You're muted.
Yeah, I forgot what I was gonna say, so I'll pass. And if I remember, I'll raise my hand again.
There we go. Man, Melly, you look good, man. I just gotta say that.
Thanks.
Yeah, because you was talking kind of spicy, and I was like, yeah, just had to throw that out there.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, Jay, you fine? Okay, you on camera? Let's see if your audio. Let's see how your audio is.
Afternoon, everyone. You can hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
All right, what's up? I'm trying to keep it short. The whole thing is if black men are limited, right, as far as like dating outside the race, and you stated that black men are celebrated in America, I don't think that our women act like that. So it might be true. I think you put us some stats of the ratio, but I don't think they act like we are in high demand and limited supply. Back to what the young lady said about Tamika about these men wanting green card. I mean, these women wanting green cards from Thailand and places like that. They don't move them back to the U.S. They stay in their home country. So there is something where they want a better life. And I think Melody mentioned that they're providing for them. So that aspect, but I think here in America, if that deal was made in good faith here, I think a lot of men would do that. They will go for the providing thing if that what they were getting in return. But what they usually get is a modern woman. You know, traditional women are kind of hard to find. So they could provide everything and, you know, she's off to work doing whatever she wants to do. And I think one more thing is that this conversation is kind of focused too much on men's choice. I like that we had that young lady who's married to the white guy, respectfully speaking. I want to hear the women's view on them dating out. Like, where's your views on Enrique and Chad and your experience? Why is everything always on, you know, what black men should do and black men shouldn't date out and all this kind of stuff? Like, what's your view on interracial dating? And I think you should date interracially as well.
Good point. The good point. That's kind of what I was hoping to see, because black men are just already doing it. It's happening. I don't know what the only thing that from the data, what I can look at is, you know, all men are going, you know, if you look at what men are picking and choosing, all men like more feminine women or women who are perceived as more feminine. So all men are gravitating toward Asian women. So, you know, the only way to me to bring it to kind of lower it down for black men statistically is for the perception of black women being more feminine to go up. That's the only thing I can see bringing black men back to the table statistically. And I'm just a data guy. I just like looking at the numbers and going off of that. Anecdotal evidence is fine, but the data is the data. All right, we got Ken. Go ahead, Ken, you're up. I know Ken's going.
Just had to unmute myself. Okay, first of all, I don't know what world we're living on with these stats, my brother. Like, I travel a lot. When you go to countries, most times, I don't care if it's South America, the Caribbean, you see more women of color selling their bodies to white men. So dating and sex, if we use it interchangeably, it's like 1,000 to 1 ratio. For every Tyrone sleep with Becky, there's 999 women of color sleeping with white dudes with green cards and money. I don't know. I guess, see, the problem is some people don't travel outside the 10-mile radius. So they think they understand what's going on in the world from their neck of the woods. But for those of us got some stamps on our passport, every time we travel, when we're at the resort, if you see a 20-year-old girl with a 55-year-old white woman, that's not dating, that's prostitution. The difference is a lot of African-American guys and our women are doing this. You date out of your lane in your race, and you think the solution is going outside. Every other group, when I travel, even in our race, because there's 2.8 billion of us, contrary to public belief, 40 million Negroes here on this plantation does not represent the entire race.
Ken, I gotta stop you just because I heard something that just the data doesn't support. You spoke about black women turning and dating out, and because they're dating outside their lane with black men. But overall, black women are not doing it that much. It's in the U.S.
I'm talking about sex, bro. I don't talk about dating. I'm talking about sex, because that's something we're not using interchangeably. Because if you go to the strip clubs, it ain't brothers shaking ass for Becky. If you go to the street corners, they're not selling their ass to Becky. If you go to Jamaica, Trinidad, or any of these places, I don't see too many guys. Now, don't get me wrong, there is sex tourism with men. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but it's a small percentile. So when you add commercial sex into the factor, it wipes away the dating record of Tyrone with Becky. And the truth is this, majority of us are not attracted to white folks. I don't care what these stats say. I've been in a club. If Idris Elba shows up there and Bill Maher, trust me, sisters ain't getting moist for Bill Maher, okay? So all this cap stuff about this notion that this interracial thing is a real thing. One thing Negroes suck at is math. And I love my race, but we suck at math. We take the smallest raindrops And what we see on TV, we think that's 2.8 billion Negroes. Travel the world. Most of us date in our lane. The biggest reason why you got so many racial relationship problems in America is Negroes date outside the lane. If you a square chick, date square brothers. Stop dating thugs. Dude, if you are unattractive, I don't care how many Bentleys you have or how many degrees you have, it does not entitle you to beautiful women. That's why some of these ninjas are bitter. So date in your damn lane, and I think you have success like Western brothers. When I'm in Senegal, I see 5 looking brothers with 5 looking sisters. I'm a 5 looking brother, and that's why I like to travel, because I like to date in my lane. But the problem in America is my 5 looking sisters are trying to date handsome dudes and getting burned, and too many 5 looking brothers with nice bank accounts are dating 8 looking women, and when they get burned, they're taking out on everyone else. Negro, look in your mirror and date in your lane. Sisters do the same thing, and I think you have better results.
I agree about the dating part, but I just feel that when we're talking, you said that interracial is the thing's not happening. It's happening by a large margin. I'm talking about marriage.
Out of 2.8 billion, bro, how many you think are dating interracially?
So how many? I'm not talking about kin. I'm talking about what's happening. Now I'm just talking. You said it's not a thing. 30% of educated Black men are dating out by the statistics by Pew Research. It's a thing.
Brother,
36% of Asian women are doing it by Pew Research. So it's really a thing. Now, if you're talking about dating, if you're talking about just having sex, that's another point. But when we talk about interracial marriage being a thing or not being a thing, it's definitely a thing. Okay. And it's not a thing with overall by statistics. It's not a thing with white folks statistically, and it's not really a thing with Black women statistically. So if there's not a thing, it's with them. But it's a thing with Black men. It's a thing with other groups of men.
Well, could we agree on this? There's over 2.8 billion people African DNA on this planet. Mm-hmm. Those studies say Black, as if it speaks for a monolithic group. Right. All it can speak for is the people that were in that study. I guarantee it was no more than 1 million.
I'm just talking, it's just the U.S. But
okay, even in the U.S., I guarantee it wasn't 47 million folks in that study, bro. They take a small pool size of folks and they say 40-60% of that pool size, not for 47 million of us. If you put to every 47 million of us, I guarantee right now, maybe 3 million probably crossed over. And I guarantee 2.9 million was probably prostitution. So we gotta stop taking these small little experiences and making it speak for like the masses.
All right. Well, thank you, Ken. You normally have commentary that I agree with, and it's like hard truths. But tonight I'm going to sharply disagree with you, and you're doing with what I see a lot of the ladies do, and you're arguing with the data. The data is the data. So I know you need to. I want you to meditate on that, bro.
How many people were in that study, bro?
I don't know, but you're fighting against the study. These are data scientists who do this. Why are you fighting against the studies, Ken? Just because it doesn't prove your point. Listen, even if it doesn't prove your point, just accept it. Because to be honest, the same thing that men are complaining that women doing, you're doing it right now. Even we don't have. It is what it is, man. The data is the data.
Fox News has studies. I don't believe there's either. But go ahead, bro. I hear you.
All right, Ken. But I want you to think about this, man. You're doing what a lot of men are accused women of doing right now. But you normally have commentary that even is this hard truth commentary, but today you're fighting in data, brother. I don't know why you're doing that. Simone, you're up.
Alrighty. So first I want to start off by saying that I'm someone who has dated internationally. Mm-hmm. And then my parents are interracially, not internationally. And my parents are interracial as well. And they've been married for 27 years.
Sorry, Simone. People are saying, where did I get the data from? It is a work cited at the very beginning of the presentation. Go screenshot it. We're going to post it on YouTube in a day or two and go do the research, y'all. And go argue with Pew Research. Go argue with the scientists and the people who collect data and analyze data and interpret it. That's who y'all need to argue with, not with me, because I'm a firefighter. You know, that's what I do professionally. I'm not a data scientist. Go argue with those folks. But y'all are fighting data. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Simone, for cutting you off. But this people fighting against data, it baffles me. But go ahead, Simone. I'm sorry. You were saying that you dated interracially and your parents are interracial coupling. And you had mentioned one time to me, you said that you don't feel like Black men take you serious. That's been your experience. I'll let you finish your point. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'll let you talk. Go ahead.
Okay. I don't remember the context of that conversation, unfortunately. Okay. But one thing I do want to touch on is the whole idea of like Black men being intimidated by Black women, and like listening to some of the guys and their comments and everything. I do want to say that intimidated is probably the wrong word usage. I think whenever I think of Black women like getting their careers, making like 6 figures, or even just like talking very abruptly and just to the point. I think, first of all, the part of the career part, for my perspective, dating interracially, the white man appreciates my whole career aspect of it, whereas the Black man is kind of like, okay, well, you know, let's go ahead and not talk about that, or let's go ahead and, you know, not make that part of your personality. And that's where I think the word intimidated comes from. And then just as far as the whole aggressiveness as well, that is a stereotype for Black women. I think whenever a white man sees the aggressiveness, he's just like, oh, you have a point to make. You are actually speaking from your heart. Whereas the Black man is like, oh, why are you coming off like that? Why is your tone that way? Why don't you talk nicer? And it's not aggressive. It's just, this is how I talk. And I feel like I'm not being, and the less that I'm being heard, the more abrasive I'm going to come off. And I think also, mostly like growing up and stuff, a lot of Black women, a lot of Black men, whenever they act different, they're ostracized by the Black community for saying they're acting white, but they're accepted by the white community. And with that mindset, it's kind of like, okay, well, of course you're going to go more towards that race and not feel loved by your own race. And also, just the part of just being celebrated overall, because I feel like white men tend to have a lot of reputation behind it, because if a white man gets with a Black woman and the Black woman is like, I really don't like this, that Black woman's probably never going to date another white man again. You know, that stereotype of like, well, he's not like, maybe it's the bedroom, maybe it's, you know, just conversation in general, maybe it's him making her feel uncomfortable during certain situations. It's like he has to perform a certain way to please his woman more. And that way he can make sure that he doesn't lose that Black woman and that he doesn't lose Black women in general. And vice versa with like the white woman and the Black man or Mexican or whatever race you want to put it as.
Yeah, you hear, I thought about bringing that into the conversation, whereas we'll see the challenges with white men coupling with Black women, being Black women's proximity to Black men and Black masculinity. You see it online, like a lot of times where you see it, and this is anecdotal, y'all. And I mean, it's not anecdotal because people are actually saying it, but they say things like if a white man tries to date a white woman and she was with a Black man, a lot of white guys don't like that because they feel like they're competing against a Black man and competing against, they feel like they have to do extra because it's like, oh, you're with a Black man, so now, I gotta do, I mean, it's like it's a competition with this. It's something going on there, and you said a lot, and that was Simone said some things that she's had experience doing this, and I think some takeaways as men, if we can listen to our women, because Black women, statistically have, when coupled with white men, man, why is my camera out of focus? When coupled with white men, they have it doesn't want to cooperate. Anyway, we're coupled with white men, yeah, that was Simone's experience, and as Black men, we just have to listen to that because, why are white men having greater success with Black women than a lot of Black men are? We should have to think about that as men. Like, listen to what she said there, because she said some things in terms of the way white men view Black women, and maybe we can kind of take some things off of. Thanks, Simone. All right. I don't know, Melody, did you want to speak again? She keeps seeing your hand up, or maybe.
Yeah, I remember what I wanted to say.
Okay.
I wanted to go back to where we were talking about femininity and how Black women need to be more feminine. It's really funny that people are saying that, because Black women, we're actually fighting to be able to be feminine. That's what really the heart of the complaints are about, because people got Black men keep saying we're not feminine. But if we're being asked, what do you bring to the table? Okay, and we're being asked to go to work, and we're being asked to go Dutch. We're being asked to pay for our own meals. you're asking us, not you, but Black men are asking us to be masculine. So it's like, I think for us, it's more of a like, we feel like I speak for myself. I feel like a lot of Black men, not all, but a lot are very hypocritical because they're asking us to be masculine, but you want us to be feminine too. Because if you're saying pay your half of the meal, go to work, let's go Dutch. If you're asking me to worry about finances, that's what a man's supposed to do. That's my opinion. I'm not broke.
We're gonna talk about that next week.
You know, I'm a teacher that we don't make a whole lot of money, but I take care of myself. But it's like when I get married, I don't plan on like worrying about finances. To me, that's a masculine thing. So I think Black men need to really hone in on what they really want, because we can't be two things at one time. And I do believe that a lot of other women are submitting to their men because their men are providing for them and they can just rest and be feminine and not be, you know, have all this pressure. So I think it's quite simple. I think we're making it too hard. Like we're actually fighting to be able to be feminine, in my opinion.
There you go. The fight to be feminine. But that's really all you know, in this modern time, that's what a lot of women are going through across racial spectrum. But I guess if you're looking at it from economic standpoint, I can see that.
Cardo, can I ask a follow-up question real quick?
Yep.
Real quick to Melody?
Yep.
Melody, real quick. You were saying that you're saying us men are, well, most men are contradicting themselves by asking you ladies to do that. How do you feel about when it comes to your debt? Do you feel as though if you're in debt, and do you want that man to take on his stuff and your debt at the same time?
I would prefer that he does, yeah.
Oh man, I was falling in love with Melody over here, and
seriously, I'll give you a serious answer. No, I don't think. I think it depends on the man on what he wants to do. I actually know a white woman who, when she got married, her husband, who was a white man, paid off all her debt. She had $25,000 worth of debt, but he had it like that. So I do think women have to be realistic. I don't think women are looking for anybody, you know, rich, you know, but someone who just wants to provide, and that's it. So if he has the heart to want to pay it, that's great. But if he can't or he doesn't want to, I don't expect anyone to pay my debt. But if he does, then awesome, I'm going to let him do it.
All right, there you go. That was a great question, Michael. But man, that was a dagger right there. All right, Regine, you're up.
I'm fine with interracial dating, and I've had family members who date interracially, and I would, so I'm fine with that. I tend to agree with what Melody was saying, though that has been my experience. It seems like Simone had maybe slightly different experience, but I feel like I'm a very feminine woman. I'm very traditional, but from my experience, men do. I have been asked, like, what do you bring to the table? I was married and I'm a teacher also. And I know one time I told and I know these are anecdotal evidence, but I told my ex-husband, you know, I cook over spring break, I cook every day. I brought his sandal to the door. I'm like, this is how it will be if I stay home. But I don't ever want to say anything bad about him, but like I did feel a lot of like financial pressure. And I've dated guys who've asked me to join the military, and it's like, I'm not athletic at all, or to do this business with them and that business. And I'm just not, you know, I've been traditional. I grew up with a mom who, even when and I don't know if it's because maybe Black people as a race, we don't have as much wealth and we're trying to do like a whole power couple thing. But I grew up with a mom, and we grew up in an apartment, we're immigrant, and sometimes my mom worked, sometimes she didn't. My father always worked. There was never pressure on her to like, you have to, we need this, we need this. And I feel like a lot of men today do that. So if a Black woman might have more masculine character trait, it is because if you're putting a lot of pressure on them to worry about this debt, that debt. And I do know of an Asian couple, and again, anecdotal, she married a white guy, he paid off her debt. And, I can pay off my debt perfectly fine. I pay my car, I pay everything. But if I am married and you want me to cater to you, that is perfectly fine. But I can't do two things. Like it's very difficult, and I can't have the pressure of, okay, we need to do this business and invest in this and that. Like it is a lot to ask, I feel.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Regine. Yeah, this paying off debt thing, I can get with if you want to be a housewife and whatnot and all that stuff, and you want to focus on the family and do also, I can get with that. But if you know this paying off debt thing, like I won't there when you got that debt, and I would look for you. To me, it's an attribute or it's an asset that you're a wise, or you've taken, you've done it to work yourself to remove your debt. It's just interesting. I don't know if I can get on board with that. I mean, I like the old traditional thing, but this debt thing, I don't know if I can get on board with that. But Deanna, do you have are you able to cam up? We might have to skip over you. We might can get back to you, but we might have to skip over you. Up there we go. All right, you're up. Thanks, Regine.
Are you able to hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I have a few things. One, do I believe in like interracial, like that's weird. I believe everybody should date or go for where they feel the relationship structure works for them the best. A lot of these, I know, what's his name? Ken was trying to like argue with the data, but like that's weird, but like in actuality, whenever we're looking at most of these studies, especially here in the US, the data is based off of Western, educated, like a certain economic class of people who are doing these studies. And so I can understand what he's trying to say, but like the people who like are like high school, I guess, dropouts, and like they're not really interested in all these like studies and stuff, and like unless people are go out and specifically care about their opinions and stuff, people aren't necessarily asking these same questions. And I have been in an interracial relationship, and I'm currently married to a Black man. And honestly, if I talk by my experience, the people that I've gotten treated the worst by were Black men. But that doesn't stop me from dating Black men, because I know that's not everybody. It's just bad people are bad people. So it doesn't matter. Like, I don't think I would ever be comfortable enough with dating a white man. Like the last guy that I was with who was white, he was fine, but his family was super, super conservative, and I'm not conservative, and I wasn't comfortable with that dynamic. And I think, like, in a sense, if we look more into like the values and beliefs that people hold and the cultures that they think is important, then we'll see where these differences lies. Because like Eastern culture in general creates men that in our Western view is less masculine. So it's not necessarily like that's fact. Like what is a man,
Right,
and certain
Deanna,
cultures is different.
if you could just try to wrap it up for us. We're closing in. We normally try to end it at 10. And we got a few more people we got to hear from.
And
just close, if you could finish out
yeah.
the point. I'm sorry.
Okay, but yeah, so basically it's about balance. Like, and I don't think feminism is the right to choose. It's not about, the women being just doing whatever the hell they want. It's like, if you want to be a traditional woman, that's your right. If you want to be a modern woman, that's your right, period.
All right, thank you so much. Kristen. All right, Chris, I want you to slow down. You get your points out. You take your time. Take your time. Go ahead, you're up.
Listen, I made notes this time so I don't forget.
Okay, you learning. I like
I'm
it.
learning. I've seen everybody else taking notes. I done made notes this time. But so my position, first of all, I don't like agree or disagree. I just think like a lot of people I think are saying you should definitely go where you're celebrated, where you're loved. And sometimes love has no color. Now, my preference definitely is Black men. I love my Black men. That's all I've dated. I've never been approached by a white guy. can't say yes or no if I would say yes or no to a date, but I just think you should go where you're celebrated. For me, I have multiple couples within my family that are in interracial marriages, and it has worked. My sister-in-law, she is a Becky. She's blonde hair. She is white. Now she's shaped like a black woman, but she is white. And my cousin, he was married to, he unfortunately passed away from a plane crash a few months ago, but his wife is Filipino. So I think one thing, and I believe there were some people on here that did say they are in interracial relationships or marriages. I think one thing that couples just have to make sure they address early on is, how is it going to be that you raise your families, or how your family is going to respond to this? Because for my family, we've always embraced everybody that's within our family that is not Black. However, my sister-in-law's side, her grandmother, she passed away, but she never embraced my brother. She did not come to the wedding. My niece was born. She did not show up for the birth. She did not see my niece ever. She sent a check. That was all she did. Before she passed away, she did not want my brother at the funeral. So I think that's one thing, that if you do decide to go that route, you just need to be prepared that not everybody may accept your relationship. I wanted to touch on the fact of, I believe it was Melanie or somebody mentioned that sometimes a lot of women who are non-Black date men because of superficial or want them to be provider. I disagree on that, because my sister-in-law, she's white. Both her and my brother had their own when they got into relationships, so it wasn't about what he could do for her. And then, like most women have been saying, if you want to cater to your man, there's not a problem with that. Like, I love to cook and bake. I'm gonna cater to my man. Like, I don't have a problem with that. But Cardo, I definitely disagree. Early on the discussion where you made the comment, well, people voted on it, but I disagree with it. If Barack would have been married to a white woman or Asian or Thailand or Chinese, me personally, I would have still supported him, because I love our culture. I love to see us in power. I love to have been able to witness the first Black man. So regardless of who he's married to, I would have still supported him, just like I supported Kamala.
Now that was you. What do you think about the rest of Black women overall? Like, just from, don't take it on you, but what about just, I know you can't speak for all Black women, but if you had to guess, what do you think?
I would say it might have been half and half, or it might have been more so like 60-40.
So yeah, but right now, I mean, as it were, he was about 97%, so it was overwhelming majority. So you think there will be a little fall off, but there might still be some support. All right. Thanks so much. Okay. Yeah, you got your points out good this time. You didn't forget anything. Good. Thank you. Jenna, do you have are you able to put your camera on? We might have to skip over you, Jenny or Jenna. Yeah, we're gonna skip over. We might get back to you before time runs out. Hey, Jay, you had already went, but let me get Julie in here, and we'll get you go right after Julie, because I want to hear from Julie on this. Go ahead,
Hi,
Julie.
Cardo. Hi,
Hey.
everybody. How y'all doing?
All right.
So I just gonna keep this nice and short and sweet. I wanted to say that I'm Indian. I'm Indian American, and I was married to a Black man. Sadly, we're not married anymore, but I just wanted to say that personally, this is anecdotal, that in India, all sorts of men came to visit. There's Indian men, there was more European, white, all would come to the country. Sadly, there weren't a lot of Black people who would come and travel at that time, but now it's different. But what I wanted to say is that when I came back to America, what attracted me to Black men, and it still does, is that y'all are very bold. And in bold, I mean in a
that's masculinity, and it's people are to not thank you, Julie, because I mean that's a masculine trait. And when women, you know, I'm trying, I put the data out there, and people fight and argue against it. This is how Black men are perceived, and this is how Asian women are perceived, at being high mass, you know. But go ahead. I'm sorry, Julie.
No, I mean, I'm not saying anything negative about anybody,
Right, I know.
but personally, I absolutely love this boldness, because growing up in India as a teenager into my 30s, you know, Indian men were very docile, or if they loved you, they wouldn't be like, I want this woman, because, you know, mostly we do arranged marriages back home. But coming to America, it was like being vocal about it. And I thought that was so sexy. I thought that was so refreshing. And it has nothing to do with a Black man's swag or his outfit or his, you know, none of that. It's that boldness. I've always appreciated a man who, if he wanted me, he could stand on the roadside in the middle of a road and say, I want this woman. I want to be with her. So interracial marriages are a beautiful thing, but it takes a lot of courage to get into one. You have to be, you can't, it's not for the weak-hearted, is what I'm saying, because cultures are different. Families might not approve. You know, before getting into anything like this, you have to really, really talk it over. So yeah, that's my 2 cents. I love interracial. If I can, I will like to be with another Black man.
There you go.
That's my thing.
Thanks, Julie. I'm glad you weighed in on this one.
Yeah,
you didn't come up here to validate any of the things that was in the presentation, but you did in a lot of ways. And I wish we could, I wish more people would join the conversation. I saw a white gentleman here earlier. I wish he possibly could have weighed in on it. But there you go. I wonder, so it's not, it's an easy thing just to say, hey, a Black man or this and that, and it's just superficial, but it's just the data just says otherwise. All right, Jay, we're gonna let Jay get the last word, then we're gonna stop recording. We'll hang out for maybe 30 minutes to an hour afterwards, just as a free flow conversation. But Jay's gonna get the last word, and then we'll end this thing. Go ahead, Jay.
Good choice, Cardo. Julie, that was a breath of fresh air. Thank you. I liked your whole talk just now. That was lovely.
Thank you.
I'm just gonna wait a little bit on the if you're paying bills, you can't be feminine. I would have to say that our Black women are kind of spoiled, because in other ethnic groups, like let's say if you're an immigrant who's I'm an immigrant, by the way. Let's say if you're an immigrant that's collecting cans, you could be Asian or Latino, you still get femininity, you still get submission when you get home. So, and those women still work, they still work jobs. And if you go to even the motherland, you have women working in the field all day and taking care of the kids and still having food cooked when their man comes home. So this whole thing was, oh, bills make me masculine. It's hard to believe when the rest of the females of the world balance it lovely. Like, not to pick on white women per se, but they go to school and they get married at the same time. It's not one or the other. They can multitask. Yeah. So I just really want to push back on that narrative that because, I have a bill to pay, that, I can't be feminine for my man. Like, that's really, Black women sometimes want credit for being adults. Like, no lie to you, most of the women that spoke, like not today or the previous thing, always talk about, they pay their own bills, they drive their own car, they got these degrees. It's like, no one asked you for your resume, man. Why is you always leading with this? You sound like a man talking about how you're gonna provide for a woman. That's how you sound. You sound like a man beating his chest. Hey, I got 2 cars. I got more toilet paper in my house. That's how y'all sound. So when you say when you guys lack femininity, that's what we're talking about. I'm gonna leave it on that.
There you go. Jay closed it, and I think that was a good rebuttal. It's definitely something to think about, because yeah, I mean that's true. But thank everybody for joining the conversation. This is the end of the formal conversation. But if you stick around, it's gonna be more of a free flowing conversation, and we're just gonna chop it up. It's not gonna be any order or anything like that. We're just gonna hang back. But thank everybody for coming. Hope we all learned something and gather some things to take away. I've definitely learned. Like I said, this isn't something I think about a lot, but it definitely brought a new perspective to the state of things and the way things are going. So it's interesting. Also, next week we're going to be talking about this whole new dust up with Kevin Samuels and what's his face? I forget his name. But anyway, the thing about when men should expect sex. So I think that's going to be a really, really interesting conversation. We're also going to talk about dating your lane and how to know your lane and all that stuff. So if y'all can tap in for that one, it's going to be great. Also, toward mid to late February, we have another game night. This time we're going to do it at Harold's house. I saw Harold, he had dropped in early. I don't know if he had to drop out. We're going to do another game night. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be a chance to really connect. So come, make a friend, have some fun. There'll be some snacks. Bring your own beer, because we ain't sponsoring y'all. So, because some of y'all, we know how y'all like to get down, so we ain't gonna do that. So bring your own beer. It's gonna be a vibe. Peace, everybody. I'm going to end it now. Let's see here.